Day. I hope you had a great Memorial Day. It's 1 in the morning here at the Rio, so it's basically Tuesday morning. You're about to watch 2 videos. They're longer than normal because normally when I'm in Vegas, I'm eating one source on one day and one source the other day. As I always say on all my videos, if you follow me on Snapchat, if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me here on YouTube, you don't pay John for what I know, you pay me for who I know. I just cashed a 17 parlay, which was a combination of all my sources combined, as well as a 14 round robin. You have to understand, the biggest bettors in the world pay me, and they pay me because of the connections that I have. And while a lot of people like to talk about the connections they have and the mystique sources they have, what I try to do is lift the veil and show you in reality that there are people that really exist, that are featured on the History Channel, that are featured on 60 Minutes, that are featured on A&E. Most notables like Don Johnson, who broke the bank in blackjack for the tunes of hundreds of millions and was just voted into the Blackjack Hall of Fame. Notables like DOMINIC LORIGGIO. If you Google the most feared and famous gamblers, he comes up number 8 in all-time history. The Kenny White, the most sharpest feared odds maker in the world, featured in the Billy Walters interview on 60 Minutes. They're all in my stable. They all deal with me. They could deal with 100 other people, but they deal with me. They trust me with the most coveted information and the biggest bettors in the world. I am the conduit. I am the man that you come to if you want to access these individual people because they're too busy to deal with you. So, as I come here each and every month, I break bread with the sharpest bettors in the world and the sharpest sources in the world. Sit back, avail yourself of these interviews. First, I start out with Kenny White this Memorial Day Monday, and I ended up, that was in Green Valley, and then I ended up at the Bellagio with DOMINIC LORIGGIO. I hope you enjoy the interviews. Tomorrow, I'll be in studio live with the Ryan Blessing. Good day, and we hope you had a happy Memorial Day. So it's Memorial Day, and we're I wouldn't call it. It's actually Memorial Day, which it's not Veterans Day. Everybody confuses Memorial Day with Veterans Day, so it's appropriate that we're behind a black wall. Memorial Day is to remember the fallen, right?
Correct.
So
and we're in memory.
And we're in memory. I'm wearing a black shirt. There's a black wall
black
behind
shorts
us.
on.
He's got black shorts on, and there's a black wall behind us.
Yep.
And let's talk about the early baseball, and actually the baseball season as a whole. It was a huge fight today. Washington Nationals against San Francisco.
To watch.
Fun to watch. You were telling me that was the second time.
Third at bat versus Strickland.
And he hit a home run.
He hit a home run the first 2 times, and it wasn't like it was recently. I think he hit one 5 years ago against them first at bat, or 4 years ago, whatever, and then he hit one maybe last year.
Right.
So this was the 3rd time he's faced him, and well, Strickland's not going to give him another home run.
The hockey playoffs tonight, they wanted to start the fighting early.
It's a good point.
Exactly.
And there should be a lot of fights tonight, Pittsburgh and Nashville. Nashville, love the goalie, but Pittsburgh may have a little too much firepower.
So I want to do a jump before we get into baseball, and we'll keep this video shorter than our average 20 minutes because I know you want to
baseball.
And
it's Memorial Day.
And it's Memorial Day, and you want to get to the barbecue. So let's talk about the upcoming Game 1. The line is 7. The money line is 260. And how is it that a team that came back from down 4 with the best player in the NBA is getting no respect?
Is he the best player in the NBA?
Well,
that's
they
questionable.
Say, okay, so, but I mean,
Curry might
what would the value be to take LeBron?
And then what about Durant?
Okay, but
so if we had an argument now who the best player is and we started voting.
Your arms are bigger, I'm not arguing.
3 people are going to get votes. Durant, Curry, and James.
Right, so but doesn't that at least make the line 140, not 260?
It's a huge line.
You're a line maker.
I'm amazed how I thought the line should have been 5.5 at the most.
Okay, so there you go. Not 7.5.
You know what? It's not that big of a difference. It's one basket, you know. So last year, the Cavaliers pulled the big upset, came back and won the final 3 games, but that was with a banged-up Curry. Draymond Green missed Game 5. This year, the Warriors have Durant.
And let's not forget, Golden State's not infallible. I did watch Boston go to Golden State and win.
Yeah.
Plus 12, win the game outright. Plus 1,400 on the money line.
This probably will be the best finals ever.
Well, because you're getting the 2 correct teams.
Yeah. Oh, by far. I mean, Charles Barkley said it before the playoffs. He said, I don't even know why we're playing the playoffs. Just play Cleveland versus Golden State because they're going to destroy everyone else they play. And he was right on. He was 100% on because the 2 teams combined to go 24-1. No team has ever gone 12-0. The Warriors, first team in NBA history to win all 12 playoff games. This is a great team. And the other thing about it is they're doing it without their head coach. They don't even need a head coach. I mean, he's got a bad back, and he's been out the entire playoffs, and they play great team defense. Even though they score so many points, they work together so well defensively.
But you won't be surprised if Cleveland wins.
No, not at all. Kyrie Irving. Let's talk about great players. Kyrie Irving, throw him into the mix. And then Kevin Love, they have their big 3 as well. And their big 3 might be better. I think you throw Draymond Green in, but then once you throw Klay Thompson in as the 4th player, Golden State then now has the advantage that the top 4 players are they're better and they're at home. And that's why I think the game should be about 5.5.
Got it. So now let's talk about baseball. I've been looking at the overriding trends that certain teams cannot win on the road. Teams like my Baltimore Orioles, they go on an 0-7 streak. They come back today. They host the Yankees. They win early. They snap the 7-game losing streak. Teams like the Texas Rangers, they can't win on the road. They literally win 8-10 games. I think they were 10-0 at home. Then they went on the road to Detroit. They got their first loss a couple weeks ago.
They had a 10-game winning streak. Right.
You know, over and over again. When did home team advantage mean such a big deal in baseball?
Yeah, but it may not be overall. It might be you're zeroing in is what you're doing is really good because when you find a trend and you can zero in and find specific teams that follow that trend more than others, then you really have something. Because I used to look at the travel in the NBA, and I said to a really sharp NBA handicapper, and I said, you know, when these teams are playing back-to-back, home to road, they're getting killed. He says, that's great observation. Now go look and see how the bad teams do in that same trend. And I did. All the bad teams were the ones that were piling up the losses in my survey. The good teams, if I was betting against the good teams in that scenario, I was breaking even. He was right. I was going to double my profits by betting against the bad teams. So, you know, when you're looking at a lot of home teams winning and you have teams that got that dichotomy of they're strong at home, poor on the road, they jump on it. Careful, though. Trends do change.
Right, absolutely. And I was saying you said historically Colorado wins big at home. They can't win a game at home this year. They win big on the road. Today they lost at home. They can't win on the road. It's just it's flipped completely. I've just seen it over and over and over again. You know who's another team that cannot win at home? Cleveland Indians cannot win at home. They're 4 or 5 games under 500 at home, and they're about 10 games over 500 on the road.
What do I say? You know, this is a team that made the World Series last year, and they've got great talent back. And they lose Napoli. They bring in Carcione, but Napoli was their clubhouse leader. I'm not sure if that is the difference in that team or not, but clubhouse leaders are big in baseball. You got to have somebody that is being the good cop and watching over the entire team and the young guys to make sure they're all doing the right thing.
And so now, as we get into the it's hot now.
Not yet.
I mean, you're right. I
can say 100 today.
I'm a part-time. You could say I'm a
115 is worst, right?
I mean, I do 30. I do 15, 20 weeks in this town, and it's a little. I feel the change of seasons. I think more than you. So let's put it that way. So when do you start really knocking into the meat of the early numbers on the NFL and the college football?
NFL, I won't start until August 1st because there's only 30 teams. I have to do 32 teams. So, but college, I've already started preparation on those teams, putting together returning starters and rosters, and putting in the new coaches, and putting ATS records together from the previous years, and thinking about what each team is, if they've got a new game plan or not, new offense, new defense, because they have a new coach. So putting those things in my book to make notes.
And what regarding the the MLB, when you have teams that are favored to win go to the World Series, what's your perception of the teams just putting on the brakes to not injure their? I mean, do you think teams are just playing down because they're going to wait till the All-Star break and then kick it in, or do you think it's just nonsense? They're just going out and just playing ball and.
Teams are who they are, and a lot of times it's some guys are not in the shape they need to be in. Some guys are going through the motions. It depends on how the pitching staff, how healthy is the pitching staff. So I think that's, following guys that are really pitching well, go with them, and go against guys that are pitching poorly, and then you're going to end up on some of the trends that you're talking about, following Texas at home, go against them on the road, Baltimore at home, go against them on the road. I don't know about Colorado. I don't think I could ever jump on board of betting them when they're on the road and betting against them at home, because historically they've been so strong the other way,
right,
that trend could flip at any moment.
And regarding the first 5-inning wagers, have you been doing a lot of that lately?
No, I really haven't. And to be honest with you, this has been an extremely difficult baseball season so far. I brag many times baseball is a great sport to bet. I still think it is. I'm still playing every day. And the way I'm going, I can't wait till the hot streak comes, and I know it will. I don't know when it will. It could come
but
in
even when
September,
you're but the thing is, even if you're chopping in baseball, you can still make money because of the dogs versus getting killed with juice in football and in baseball. I mean basketball.
No, there's no doubt about that. If you're getting plus prices. I play some favorites though. I played Zach Greinke the other day, -30 on the road against the Brewers, because he dominates right-handed hitters. The Brewers have had a lot of righties. They struggle versus a good righty, and their pitcher came up with a shutout. Chase Anderson threw a shutout, 5 innings, or shut him out 5-0, and Greinke got beat.
Now, a perfect example is that if I'm taking a road chalk, I'll usually lay the run line.
I was thinking about that too. It wouldn't have done me. I guess it would have saved me some money.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have had to lay.
I took the Cubs
price
today on the run line, and I lost. But they lost outright.
Right. So you saved a lot of juice.
Exactly.
No, I agree. And believe me, I kind of felt like that was such a strong play on Greinke, because he was pitching so good. This was like Zach Greinke of old. I mean, this guy was dominating his last 5-6 starts, and I said, he's going to blow down the Brewers. Now, did he win
through the 5th inning?
No, he did not. He got
so it wouldn't have mattered.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. So.
Now, when you see a game like today, and then we can end this video to make it a short one, Houston, Minnesota scored 7 early, and then Houston put up 11 late and won the game 16-8. Is that just like bad pitching? It's not great hitting.
No,
it's not great hitting.
It's timely hitting by Houston,
But even when the 7,
and whoever came in couldn't get anybody.
But I mean, the 7 that Minnesota scored too. It's not that there's just this great pitch, this great hitting from both teams.
It's not a great hitter's park. The weather's not that good. I think I check the weather every day. I think it's like 60 degrees there today, so it's not like the ball's going to carry. It's both teams probably went through 3 pitchers or maybe 4 from Minnesota in that 11-run inning.
Do you also find that day games historically go over more than evening games?
I had a half run, and some parts I had a full run.
Is that because they're just not playing lazier in the morning?
No, the hitters see the ball better. Their hitter sight's better on the sunlight than it is the lights. In this day and age, the lights are so good at night in these ballparks. They're so amazing. It's not as big as a difference as it used to be. A lot of these games now go under because the day game goes under because it's such an early start and the players are not used to it. And, you play ball, you start the game at 7:30, the game ends at 10:30, you get in the locker room, you shower, you change, you bullshit, you leave at 11:30. And if you're not married, you're probably going to go to the bar and hang out, maybe get something to eat and a couple of drinks. And by the time you know it, it's 2 or 3 in the morning, and now you got to go home and get to bed and get up a lot earlier than you normally do because you got a day game. So sometimes these teams are just not prepared to play a day game. The hitters aren't. The pitchers, I guarantee, are home in bed resting. The hitters are not.
Now, I took my son to a Toronto Blue Jay Oriole game when they were at home before they went on that 0-7 skid. The game was delayed, and I was going to ask you, maybe you can crunch the numbers before the next video. They were down 3-1. The game went into delay. Orioles came back, tied it, and then won the game. It seems to me when a game goes into a delay because of the rain, and if the home team is down, it's the worst thing for the road winning team. It's like that home team gets that second win. I've looked at a lot of these games that go into rain delay, then they resume the game, and then all of a sudden this home team just gets pumped. They come back. It's
probably not a huge sample size. I don't know
right.
how often
I'm just saying it's
that's
like
happened.
You know, it's like the road teams. It's like, well, it's like you don't want to put the brakes on the momentum of the team winning. Like you got a 40-minute rain delay.
Yeah, it's hard. You know,
they're not canceling games like they used to. They're holding these games out.
Well, they don't want to because they don't want to play doubleheader.
Right.
You know, well, they're split doubleheaders, so. It's not really a true doubleheader the way it used to be. You're never going to get 2 games for the price of 1 anymore.
Oh, right. No,
you know,
that's
you
not
got a day-night doubleheader.
And also, you don't
game.
buy into the whole doubleheader, watch the first game, bet the opposite way the second game.
Nah, it's all price, and depends on who's pitching, you know. And
right.
It's all price. If you tell me, let's say Washington loses game 1, or let's say Washington wins game 1. Washington beats the Astros in game 1. Game 2, Strasburg's pitching at home, and he's only $1.20 because everybody's betting Houston because they lost game 1. Well, I'm going to bet Strasburg because he's a huge value, -20 at home against I don't care who. Unless it's Dallas Keuchel, then maybe it's the right price. But if I'm getting value on the price, now you may be able to say this. I like to put a value on everything. So if you want to take a system like that on if you're playing 2 games in one day, it's hard to call it a doubleheader anymore. You may say it's worth 25 cents.
Well, it happened the other day. The White Sox.
It's worth 25 cents. So the team who wins the first game or the team who loses, they add 25 cents to their line the next game to make value on them. If there's not a play, there's not a play. If that helps create a play, then yeah, maybe. So
it happened in the doubleheader the other day. I think it was Detroit. The dog won in the first game, and the favorite one lost in the second game. So the worst, you know, the reverse.
Right.
You got basically it flipped.
Baseball's a great game because anybody can win.
No matter what.
Anybody can win. You know, it could be Kershaw versus the worst pitcher in baseball, and that guy just comes up with a game that every ball that's hits an atom ball right at somebody, and then Kershaw, the luck of the ground ball goes between the shortstop and third baseman, up the middle, to the right side, a blooper falls in, and it's 2-0, and the final score is 2-1, and Kershaw loses as a $4 favorite.
Right.
That's a possibility. It can happen.
Which is why we're not going to lay $4.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And they put those numbers up because they're baiting the public into playing.
Well, they're not because he's going to win that game 80% of the time.
Right.
And that's why the number's that high.
Right.
So, yeah, there's no value if you're only winning 20%. You're getting $3.
Right. The only way, and I've taken your advice. The only time I parlay, and I've been successful here this trip, is including. I did it the other day. I hit a 7-teamer, and I included Washington in there -250.
Right.
And I'm not going to play 250 on a straight up play.
Right.
But you know the truth was it killed. Yeah, but it killed the return on the parlay.
Yeah,
it was a nice price. But can you imagine if I had right? But can you imagine?
It would have been less.
Right. But can you imagine if it would have been a pick'em instead of -250?
Well, you're doubling your money.
I mean,
instead of 40%.
For the fun of it, I said to the guy, "Run it with the dog to see what the return back." The guy started laughing. The guy at the window. I said, flip it to see what it was for a dime back on the dog. And he said, 20,000. I said, flip it the other way. He goes, 3,500. You know, it's unbelievable.
That's a big difference.
It's you know, that dog.
That's why a lot of people like baseball because they put dogs together every day. Those guys sitting in the book every day are throwing 4, 5, 6 teamers together with all dogs. And when that dog day comes in, their $10 pays 1,000,
right,
or more.
It's horse racing.
Or
it's
more.
horse racing
Really
on baseball. You know,
I mean, and that's what a lot of little bettors like to do because what are they going to do? Bet $10 on a big favorite and win $2 or $3?
Right,
you know, they'd rather bet 10 on 2 big dogs or 3 big dogs and walk away with $200.
Exactly.
So
the X factor is if you're going to play big favorites, stick them in the parlays.
You got to like them.
You got to like them, and it is Memorial Day. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy the barbecue. We're getting close to football. We still love baseball. Handicap. But if you want to get the right information directly from Kenny, odds EXACTA. Go online, check the website out, find out about his story. He's only been doing this his entire life.
And you never know with baseball. You want to be on board because when it gets hot,
it gets sizzling hot.
And you'll have a bunch of fun.
Team streak.
And it's going to. Promise.
We streak. Kenny streaks. Happy Memorial Day. It is Memorial Day. What are you drinking there, Dom?
I don't know, man. I got this martini here, and she called it a sting like a butterfly, or what did Muhammad Ali ever say?
Something. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
That's what this is called.
You know what my shirt says? Can you read what it says? It says, I saw the future.
Yeah, well.
I wish I saw the future. Then I'd have the winner at every score at the sports book we just walked out of. Let me ask you. You are known. I was just sent somebody a screenshot of your famous History Channel clip. How long ago was that?
That's probably about 8 years now.
8 years?
Yeah, about 8 years.
DOMINIC LORIGGIO, the Dice Dominator, featured on the History Channel.
Yeah, there it is.
So let me ask you, how did that go down? Like, we're at the Bellagio right now at the Baccarat bar.
Yeah.
And I said, how'd you do on the tables? And you looked at me as we walked by the crap table and you said, I can't throw the dice here.
Right. That happened about a year ago. I was with my buddy who's across the way from us, and came in, bought in. The guy asked me for my player's card. And I said, no, I don't have my player's card with me tonight. And then he said, and I can swear on this thing, right? Because I'm going to tell you exactly what he said.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the guy says to me, the suit says to me, you can't play. And I said, what do you mean I can't play? He said, and I laughed. You know, I thought it was, and he said, you think this is a fucking joke?
Right.
You think I'm fucking fooling around? You can't play. And at which point I said to him, am I in fucking Russia right now? I gotta show you papers to play in this casino? He said, call security, give him his money back. The next day I came in, gave him my player's card. Within 5 minutes they banned me out of here. The guy walked up and said, hey Dom, and they always say the same thing. Whenever I get banned at every casino I've ever been banned at, which is 75% of the casinos here in Vegas, they always say, hey Dom, I'm a big fan of yours. Big fan. Upstairs decided your game is way too good for us. And so that's what happens, you know. So, you know, I can bet sports here, you know, so that's where I laid my action. Yesterday I hit a nice 3-team parlay. They paid an awful lot of money. So, you know, I lay my action on sports. I'm here with my wife. I'm here with my friend and his wife. And this is really basically not a craps playing trip, but it's a profitable trip. We've played some craps some other places, and you know I'm up 23 grand right now. So
well, so let me ask you. You know, as they say, guilt by association. So I'm definitely guilty. I just did a video with Kenny White over at Odds X Factor, and then I popped over here, and we have on the platinum page at VegasDomination.com. As everybody knows, I represent the sharpest bettors in the world. And a lot of them come from a different background, the table gaming background, as we discussed the proliferation of gaming. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I fly in every 3 weeks, and as we discussed, not one, not two, now 3 major casinos in the tri-state area. So before we go to sports for a second, have you seen an interest? You have your other company, Golden Touch Crafts. Have you seen an interest of more people inquiring about how to throw the dice? I was just at Pimlico Racetrack before you answer the question with Don Johnson. It's funny, you started out and you said, what am I in Russia?
Yeah.
He told me a story that he was playing blackjack at a casino in Russia, and he won a large amount of money. And we're not going to get into specifics. You and I both know how he beat the system. Yeah. And they just kept letting him win. And then he went up to the room, and his minder, he had a minder with him, basically a security guard, called him and basically said to him that night before he went to sleep, you know, they told him, you can't cash out the winnings tonight, you can get them in the morning. And basically the minder called him and said, Don,
we're done.
You're not taking the money.
Right.
And he said, what do you mean I won the money? He says, you're not taking the money. As in, like, it's your life or the money. Like,
yeah.
An unwritten word. Like, so, like, that was Russia.
Yeah.
You could sit there and play all you wanted.
You could win, but you're not taking anything out of it.
And it was kind of like you were saying, banning yourself from the casino. Right. If you try to get back in, you can win, but you're not going to get the money.
No.
But, so, another funny story. All these guys that have gaming backgrounds we discussed this on the Platinum video in Biloxi, Mississippi, when you're doing a seminar.
Right.
Is it easier for and you're not an ex-gambler, but you're an advantaged player, is it easier for people that have already made their money on the tables, whether it's dice, whether it's blackjack, whether it's baccarat, to make that transition into sports? Do you think that's why you're such a successful sports bettor?
Well, I think it's easier. I think if you've been successful at either craps or blackjack, it's because you're a math guy. Or you understand the math of each one of these games. You understand edge. And so when you're looking at, when a guy who's like that begins to look at sports,
right?
There are so many.
If you look at the green light, you'll see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's so many statistics out there that you can use to do a bunch of analyticals to try to calculate. Even somebody like Mark Cuban, right. In an article in Fortune magazine, I think it was, about 2 or 3 years ago, he said one of the best investments you can make today is betting on sports, because
he was pushing for a hedge fund.
Yeah, yeah, and it's because you have so much instantaneous information. I mean, I have friends out here that give me calls all the time. Somebody's putting a big bet down on the Yankees or whatever the case may be. You got so much instantaneous information. You can look at all the statistics you have, and so if you have a little bit of an analytical brain, which you have to have if you're going to beat craps or blackjack, or some of the other video poker even, you can use all that math knowledge, you can use all the analyticals, and come up with a probability, a simulation of a particular game, and say, in baseball as an example, I predict that tonight this particular game has a 64% chance of winning, and because of the line right now, that's a pretty good bet for me. And it was great. That this morning, that was my case with my early game.
What was it? You can put it out?
Yeah, that I put it out. It was the Dodger game.
Okay.
And it was a great game. And I had a 66% chance that game was going to go under. I think I came up with a 6.3 was the total on the game. And, it turns out to be a winner. So you can use your analytical mind. You can use all the math and all the data that you get from the internet, and also things that we do to get yourself a winner. So yeah, I think that it does correlate being an advantage player in craps, blackjack, video poker.
So what are you looking around here? Since we have basically we have the advantage point of the whole casino here. What is the worst bet you would say coming here for? How many years have you been coming back and forth to Vegas?
I've been coming back and forth here 40 plus years.
So what do you say the worst?
I hate to say that I'm that old, but anyway.
What do you say the worst?
The double diamond slot machine I'm seeing across the way from us. That thing.
Or is it just any slot machine?
Well, yeah, not any slot machine. I mean, video poker.
Okay, well, is that really a slot machine?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's played on the slot machine, so yeah, it's considered a slot machine. And we're doing a course actually in video poker, and depending on where you play, you can almost make that game a break-even game, and then if you throw in comps, you're making it a positive game. So video poker's a different story, but the double diamond that's across the way from us.
Well, what about the grandmother that's just pulling the handle? Just
in what? Video?
Just anything.
She's losing $13 on every 100 she puts in. That's what she's losing. She can't beat the 13%.
So my dad, he's 77. He says, the machine is hot over the new MGM, and he keeps driving 45 minutes to put a toe. I'm like, you've lost your mind.
Yeah, you have lost. He has lost his mind. Right. But he's having a good time.
He's having a great time. He's 77.
So let him go.
He's going to be 78 in June. I'm like, keep going, keep going.
Your inheritance might be smaller.
That's right, exactly.
Than when he passes, but he's having a good time.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you can't, those are the games. And if you can look at that, you can look across the way where we are, you see the banks and banks of slot machines, and you don't see any employees. So these casinos are making a fortune on these things because you got one employee who's a mechanic who takes care of 100 machines in a particular section, and that's it. They don't have a dealer, they don't have cards, they don't have dice, they don't have any other investment except that one guy who maintains that machine, and they know by that 13% edge that this machine's going to make us $13 an hour. This casino is open for 24 hours, and what does that come out to be? About close to $300 each one of those machines. Right. So you got a bank of those, 5 of them. In one day, that bank, 5 times 300, is $1,500 without any kind of employee money. All they're paying for is the heat, electric, and everything
So
else.
when we were in Biloxi and they closed the Caesars property, that's just a matter of they couldn't get the volume there to fill that venue.
Exactly. When they
So
closed,
it's nothing to do with the unsuccessful casinos.
No.
The people coming in.
well, you know what happened in my mind. What happened with MGM and why they closed not only that, they closed the Grand, is that they just expanded way too much, and they borrowed way too much money, and there comes a point with saturation. In Atlantic City, you've got 5 casinos that are closed. Why? Because of what happens because of Philadelphia, because of Baltimore.
Right.
You've got these other areas that have opened up, and there's no reason for somebody who wants to go play to go to Tunica or to go to Atlantic City if they live in Baltimore.
Have you been back to
anymore.
Biloxi since I met you there?
Oh yeah, we go to that there every year.
And how is it? Just worse and worse?
Yeah, you got less and less casinos closing, and it's because you're able for patrons don't have to fly to Vegas anymore. They don't have to fly to Atlantic City. They don't have to fly to Biloxi. They can go to Baltimore, Maryland. You just said.
Yeah, but you can't. You're not bringing your wife to Baltimore. You want to come here to shows, to dinner. You still have the nightlife and the extras.
I mean, Vegas is Vegas.
So let me ask you, since you both came with your missus, do the missus, does his missus and your missus pull? Do you let them pull the machines? Not let them.
No.
But do you say to them it's not an intelligent? You have no shot.
No, they both play video poker.
Okay.
And they play video poker the way it's supposed to be played, because there is just like in blackjack, if you're not a card counter, there's a basic strategy. With a basic strategy player, he's playing at only a half a point disadvantage to the house. With the strategy in video poker, and there are strategies for each one of those games, you're going to be playing at about the same, a half a point against you in the house. Now, half a point isn't a lot, so with the time you're putting in there, you got the comp dollars. So I can't play here in Bellagio, but I'm staying here comped. I'm staying here under a fake name.
No, I just saw that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw me when I signed that. Yeah. So, I'm under my wife's maiden name.
I got it.
And what happens is that I can stay here all on her play. Now, she isn't a tremendously huge player in video poker, but because she's playing video poker, she has the potential of winning because she's playing with only half a point edge if she gets a low lucky. If not, that half a point is giving us a beautiful suite upstairs. I got a two-room suite upstairs. I've got all my dinners comped and everything else. I was at the Cabana today. I was at the Cabana yesterday. We were at the special section of the pool where they're waiting on your hand and foot. All that's going to be comped. Nick, my buddy, just said the same thing. We saw his host earlier. He's still able to play some over here, and
so he was rolling earlier.
He was rolling earlier.
Now, were you standing next to him, or you just walking?
No, I have to stand. I stand far away because when they banned me out of here, they saw me talking to one of my guys, and that guy got banned.
So our mutual friends from Georgia.
Yeah.
We were rolling the last trip here, and there was another guy across the table. And we didn't say a word to him, but he was setting the way you teach in your school, and I said, "Oh, Dom would like that." His head just snapped up. So obvious, and he smiled.
Right.
And then the stick man did one of the things that you said. He tried to mess with his mind. He put his stick across him, like he cross-checked him in a hockey game. And I'm like, you shouldn't even be allowed to do that.
Well, they can't. You shouldn't be allowed to do that, but they're going to do that.
He's like, hey, buddy, and I'm left-handed, so I'm always on the wrong side, And the guy basically put the stick across him, and just like got him out of his rhythm. Yeah. And I was like, that's such as a bullshit, basically.
Well, it is bullshit, and seeing a guy doing that, look at it's going to be on my gravestone. The guy that taught everybody how to control the dice. So, I've sold a lot of books. I've had a lot of students come see me. And now, I just have taken it now to the sports side, because sports has been something that was always, when I started in doing this thing with blackjack and craps, I played underneath the table, underneath the radar. The same thing was with sports. It's not that sports just started with me when you and I got together, Johnny. It's been there with me for the last 30-some-odd years. And I've always been, I've been banned from the local bookmakers in sports back in my hometown of Buffalo, New York. I went up once, and collected money, and I took my friend with me because I knew there was going to be a problem. The guy just gave me the money and said, Dom, we don't want your action anymore. So, it's not like it's something brand new, but when I became noted and I decided I'm going to write the books, do the show, I decided, and I got a phone call from you guys. You said, I think we can do something together. I said, well, you know what? My face is already out there on that. Why not put my face out there for sports? I'm going to do it anyways. Every bet that I give out to my guys, my clients, I make that bet myself. You know, I'm probably, you know, I know there's a lot of other people that do this, and a lot of other people that are associated with the company, but I don't know how many people actually are betting the games that they're putting out. Every game I give, I bet, and so I'm putting my money on the line just as much as my clients. And when I lose on a day, which you're going to lose on a day,
nobody loses.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
Dom.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But I feel even worse because I feel like it's everybody's money that I just lost.
Right.
So,
People don't realize the pressure that comes with it.
They don't. They don't understand that pressure. And so when I decided to do this, and with you guys as well, it was like, well, my name's already out there. Then what the fuck? Let's just do it, and let's make other people some more money. Same way with craps. You know, if I can't play, I'm going to live through my clients. So
I agree.
That's the deal.
And so let me ask you this question. And I was just thinking about pitching. We talked about golf in the last video. Have you ever, please, you don't have to disclose if you don't. Have you ever taught a former MLB pitcher how to throw dice?
Yeah.
And are they better at it because they're used to controlling the ball?
Not only a former MLB pitcher.
Well, I didn't want to say current.
A former, let's say, a former NFL quarterback who I just gave me a call actually, and he's been out of the league for about a year and a half, but he got an assistant coaching job now for a big NFL team, quarterback coach. So, yeah. I mean,
did they have an upper hand because...
You know why they did? First off, as a pitcher or a quarterback, you look at their hands, their fingers, their hand is so big. Their fingers are long, like they can grip the ball or the football. And so they were able to grab it nicely in their touch and everything. But the main thing is they're athletic, and this is an athletic endeavor, what I do. So they have pretty good hand-eye coordination. They can hit a spot. They seem to pick it up pretty quick. And I've taught a lot of pro sports people, not only baseball, football, but also basketball. Because the throw is more like a free throw anyways. And so that just recently had a pro basketball player 3-4 months ago come to my home to have a private lesson with me. And, in fact, I got a text today. He had an hour and a half roll in Reno, Nevada. Just got a text from him today. Hour and a half roll, 75 hands, because he was at the casino in Grand Sierra in Reno. And they counted. They have a counter on it. And he had a 75 hand roll, an hour and a half. Just today, or last night, but I got the text about 3 hours ago.
I want to close off this video. Yeah. Obviously, the sports, you want to get access to his information, you can hop on over to VegasDomination.com. Look, if you Google his name, it'll come right up on YouTube, the History Channel. You can watch his whole hour-plus documentary. A little bit younger.
Yeah.
Just a little bit younger.
Not as much
in that documentary. Yeah. But people who know me, when I say I am the Syndicate Insider, I have access to the sharpest guys. They're proven. This is real stuff, guys. This is not look, I'm not here to knock guys, but like he said, I deal with the guys that actually put their money on the line, whether it's blackjack, whether it's craps. I mean, can you game roulette or no?
Not anymore. You used to be able to. In fact,
I don't mean sticking the magnet up.
No. But you used to be able to. In fact, on that History Channel documentary, that whole series, they had father and son, two sons and father, out of France, and they found a biased table in a casino in France. So now, though, these tables are not biased at all. By biased meaning that
unbalanced.
Unbalanced. Yeah. There's no way you can beat the game of roulette anymore, unless you cheat with the dealer. I've had, going back now 10, 12 years, 15 years maybe, I've had some dealers that I've been, when I say cheat for them, they're playing a sector, and I'm putting $5 on that sector for them. And they have the ability, some dealers are that good that they can drop that ball at the right point when that thing is spinning, that ball's going to land in the sector. I remember in Atlantic City. It was a great night because this dealer, I just sat down there. I just had a feeling with this dealer. And I put out a tip, I put it in a sector, first time around, it was right there. And I knew that him and I were working together. And for the 20-minute shift, man, we made a ton of money. And that tip kept on increasing. My bets kept on increasing. But that was in the days when the dealer kept their own tips. You know, nowadays, here now everybody shares. So you're not going to find it. So you can't beat that game. There's only 3 games you can beat in the casino. Craps, blackjack, and video poker.
And of course, sports.
And of course, sports.
Which is why they don't give you any comps for sports.
They don't give you any comps.
You bet 50,000, 100,000 a game, and they say to me every time, like on my Instagram at John Sinegat today, you have a picture of all my cash, my 4 tickets of my 4 early bets, and you have, what do you have? 2 free drink tickets.
That's what I got.
John, would you like 2 free drink tickets for your 20 dimes in weight? 2 free? He's got a suite. I got 2 free drink tickets.
Yeah, that happened to me yesterday with a $2,000 parlay bet. Yeah. He
So,
said to me, do on 1.
Exactly.
He gave me 1 drink ticket for my $2,000 3-team parlay.
So, if you want to find out more about this man, head over to VegasDomination.com. You can read all about him. You can access his plays. You can click that VIP link if you want to find out more. We got interviews up there.
You can see the show, too.
You can see the show.
Right
and like
there.
I said, this stuff is real. People do make money in the gambling business. You hear nobody wins. But what he said a couple years ago when we posted our Platinum video report and what he went back to today was the same. Math wins and emotions lose.
That's right, man.
We're going to finish up our drinks. Happy Memorial Day and dominate.
Go!